Hey friends, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Gabby. This is gonna be my December TBR video. Can you believe that it's already the month of December? This year is almost completely over. Like, that is so freaking crazy. And in today's video, I have some really exciting announcements because it's not only gonna be my December TBR, which is my TBR for the rest of this year, which is crazy. I'm also gonna be letting you know about the upcoming book troop picks for the first 3 months of 2024, so you'll hear about January, February, and March. And also, I wanted to let you know about some very exciting news about the possibility that I might be hosting my first Trova trip. And the reason why I say this is a possibility is because I need your help to make this happen. So in the description, at the top of the description, you'll find a link that will take you to a survey that will take 2 minutes to complete. And I would absolutely love if you want to travel with me potentially in the year of 2024 or 2025. I would really appreciate if you could fill out this survey. It doesn't take long. And in the survey, you'll just be letting me know things like, where do we want to travel together? What is your budget? What kind of activities do you want to do on this trip? And we can really plan this trip together. And if you aren't sure, or you don't know what Trova trip even is, Trova trip is basically what I did with Gavin's trip in Japan. I went on Gavin's Trova trip, and so it would be kind of similar to that, except I would be hosting my own. I think Trova trip is perfect for somebody like myself who, you know, I really want to travel and I really want to see the world, but I also get a lot of anxiety at the idea of like going somewhere by myself or traveling alone. And that's what I think makes Trova trip the perfect solution for me personally, because then I don't have to travel alone, and even better, I can meet some of you. I mean, I can speak from experience that going on Gavin's Trova trip was one of the best experiences of my life. I've made so many new friends from that trip, and getting to explore somewhere new with a bunch of, you know, like-minded, cool, bookish people was like one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. And so the idea of possibly hosting my own trip brings me so much joy. Like, it genuinely makes me so happy. So even if you're considering it, if you're like, I don't know, it depends on the place or the budget, I would really appreciate if you could fill out that survey, because that is how we're going to plan this trip, is based off of your feedback. So your feedback means the world to me. I would love to know where you want to go. I'm just so excited. Oh my god, 2024 is gonna hold such incredible things for us. And so speaking of 2024, well, let me first tell you, for the month of December, for the book troop, we're gonna be reading Notes on an Execution, which is one of my favorite books of all time. In the month of December for my book club, because the month is already so chaotic with so many things at the end of the year, I like to do a reread at the end of the year. So my Patreon voted for Notes on an Execution to be the book that we reread together for this month, which I am so freaking excited. I'm gonna get my sister to read this book with me, and me and my sister are gonna be doing the book troop live show together on December 23rd, and the time is gonna be to be determined. I haven't figured out exactly what time we're gonna be doing this live show yet, but December 23rd is the day that it will be happening, so you can mark your calendars. And I'm so excited to read Notes on an Execution again, because again, you know, it's one of my favorite books of all time. I hope you can join us for that live show. I think it'll be a really great time. Usually at the end of every year, I do like to host like a book troop superlatives, a live show where we kind of go over all of the book troop picks for that year, and we kind of like talk about like our best of the year, worst of the year, most disappointing, like best plot twist, like different things like that. I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna be hosting a book troop superlatives live show this December. I'm still debating if it's something I want to do or not. So if you're like dead set, like you really want me to do a book troop superlatives live show, then let me know in the comments, because if I do end up doing this live show, it's probably gonna be close to the very end of the month, like maybe somewhere between like the 29th and the 31st. But let me know if that's still something you would like to see from me. All right, and then moving right along to the book troop picks for 2024, I have information for you for the first 3 months. How exciting! So for the month of January, I had my Patreon vote on these 3 books. So 2 of these picks were more new recent releases, and then one of these was a bit of an older title, but I'm so excited because Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll ended up winning the poll, and that is our January book troop pick. And this is one that I've been really excited and curious to read because it's actually nominated in the top 10 at the Goodreads Choice Awards for the mystery thriller category right now. So like that right there has me really excited to check this book out in the month of January. I can't wait. The premise for this one actually says it's an extraordinary novel inspired by the real-life sorority targeted by America's first celebrity serial killer in his final murderous spree. And it takes place in the 1970s. I'm almost positive that this book is inspired by the Ted Bundy case in some way. Like, I think it's related to that. So I'm very curious to check this one out. I'm also so excited to let you know that I have 2 co-hosts for the month of January. The first one is going to be Elizabeth from Reading Riley, which is so exciting. This is going to be her second time hosting the book troop with me, and I can't wait to have her back on my channel. And then I'm also going to be having Jordan from Sorry Booked Solid, which this is going to be Jordan's first time with me on the book troop. I'm so excited. I will have both of their channels linked down below, but I highly recommend them both. I feel like both of them read a lot of similar books that I do. Like, we all have very similar taste, and it's also very ironic because all 3 of us have birthdays in the month of January. January, so like how cool is that? It'll just have to be like a little birthday celebration for the three of us as well. I can't wait to have these two on the booktube live show. I think it's gonna be so great. And then in the month of February, I decided to pick this book myself because I do on my Patreon, I have my Patreon vote for probably like 10 out of the 12 months, and then every now and then I'll get to choose which book we have for a certain month. And so in the month of February, I decided to choose the book The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. And I thought this book would be perfect to read in the month of February because this book is also currently nominated at the Goodreads Choice Awards. It's in the top 10 on the horror category. And this is a book that I've been really intrigued by. I mean, it is getting great reviews on Goodreads. It has an average of a 4.56 out of 5 right now on Goodreads, which is just incredible. So the premise of this one says that it's a gripping page-turning novel set in Jim Crow, Florida that follows Robert Stevens Jr. as he's sent to a segregated reform school that is a chamber of terrors, where he sees the horrors of racism and injustice from the living and the dead. This one takes place in 1950s Florida. It does sound like it's going to be a little bit outside of my comfort zone because of the like historical fiction aspect of this, but also I've just been hearing so many great things about this book that it's got me so curious to check it out, and I'm so excited. I will warn you though that this book is about 600 pages long, but that's why I wanted to let you know this far in advance so that you can get your hands on a copy of this book early, so that if you need more time to read this book, then you'll have that extra time so I can let you know in advance, because I know 600 pages is quite long, but the book is available now. Like, you can go and get it right now. And I'm so excited to let you know that for the month of February, I'm also going to be having two co-hosts on the book troop. I'm going to be having Erin from Booked and Busy return once again. I've had Erin on the book troop before, and I feel like Erin is just such a fun and lovely person, and I feel like she always brings so much to every discussion, so I can't wait to have her back. And then I'm also going to be having Sarah from Sarah Without an H on as a book troop co-host for the first time in February. And I'm also just so excited to finally have Sarah on the channel because I've been watching her videos for a while now, and I think she's also just like a really awesome content creator. I'll have both Erin and Sarah linked down below so you can check them out, of course. And I can't wait. I think it's going to be such a fun live show with these two. And then I'm so excited for the month of March next year. I had my Patreon vote on these 3 thrillers that are actually going to be coming out in the month of January. Like, I think all 3 of these actually publish in the month of January, and they ended up picking the book The Fury by Alex Michaelides. And I am so excited for this because if you don't know, I'm a huge fan of this author. I loved The Silent Patient and The Maidens, which I know is an unpopular opinion. I actually really loved both. Like, they were both like 4 or 5 stars for me. And so I'm really curious to see how The Fury ends up going. This one also just sounds really cool because the premise says a thriller that's about a reclusive ex-movie star and her famous friends whose spontaneous trip to a private Greek island is upended by murder. So like, we have the movie star vibes and we have a private Greek island and like murder. Like, it just sounds like it's gonna be a really great time. So I can't wait to read this one in March. And I'm so excited that in the month of March, I'm once again gonna be having 2 co-hosts join me. And it's actually gonna be both of their first time joining on the book troop. So I'm gonna have Nakia from Nakia's Hideaway, which is so exciting. Nakia reads so much like thriller and horror stuff, and we also have like really similar tastes for the most part when it comes to books. And then I'm also gonna be having Gabby from Ola Books join me for this live show. And Gabby is another awesome booktuber. She also reads a lot of like thriller and horror stuff, and we do tend to have a lot of similar taste as well. So I'm really curious to see how the 3 of us are gonna feel about this book. And once again, I'll have their channels linked down below if you want to go and check them out and show them some love, because both of them are so awesome. I feel like I've been friends with them in the community for a long time, but I just haven't had the chance to get them on the book troop yet, and so I'm so excited for them to join me in the month of March. And so yeah, those are all of the exciting book troop plans coming up in the year of 2024. I can't believe that we're already talking about 2024 book troop picks. Like, this is so crazy. Like, time is just flying by so fast, but I'm really looking forward to these first 3 reads for the year of 2024. I think it's gonna be such a great time. So I hope you're excited to read along with me next year. If you're planning to participate in the book troop, I would love to know which book you're most excited to read together. All right, and moving on to the TBR portion of this video. This is actually gonna be my last month pulling my prompts from my Patreon prompt jar. If you're new to my channel, you might not know that I've actually had a Patreon prompt jar for the entirety of this year, and every month I've been pulling 2 to 3 prompts every month that my Patreon has submitted over time. And this is actually gonna be the last month of pulling from the Patreon prompt jar, so let's hope I can get some good ones. I think I'm gonna be pulling 3 this time because it's the last round and I have to make it count. All right, so let's go ahead and pick the first one. I hope I can pick some good ones for this final round. Oh, okay, I've got it. Mallory said, read a book with food in the title. Reading a book with food in the title. That is so interesting. Reading a book with food in the title. I wonder what counts as food. I'm trying to look at my TBR shelf because I'm like, what would really count as food in the title? You know, I've been wanting to read Legends and Lattes for a while now, probably like ever since this book was made popular, but do lattes count as like food? Because It's like, I would count this as food, right? Like, I don't know if I see anything else on my TBR right now, at least off the top of my head, that would qualify as like food. I mean, I see that I have Things We Lost to the Water, but like water's not food. So this is exciting though, because, you know, Legends and Lattes, I think this is a book that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, because from what I understand, this is a cozy fantasy book. And so that does have me a little bit like nervous to want to read this, because I don't know if this is going to be my thing or not. But I think December actually might be the perfect time to read this, because it looks very, you know, cozy. And I feel like December's a cozy month. So if there's any time to read a cozy book, it would probably be now. So that's really cool. Thank you for this one, Mallory. All right, second prompt. What is it gonna be? Oh my gosh. Okay, this is from Georgie. Read a book that is between 90 and 180 pages. Okay, so a novella of some kind. Well, I was hoping to reread The Grown Up this month, but I think this one might be too short. Yeah, this one's only 62 pages. So it does not qualify. Let me go take a look at my TBR shelf. Okay, I think I found a winner. So between 90 to 100 pages, this book is exactly 100 pages, and this is Out Behind the Barn, which I think this one is a horror novella that I've been really interested to read for quite some time now, so I think this would work perfect. So thank you to Georgie. I love when I pull prompts that are like to read short books, because, you know, my TBR is already so massive this month, so this works out perfectly. Thank you, Georgie. And then, oh my gosh, what is it gonna be? Our final prompt. Ooh, it's from Maddie. She said to read a book set in Australia or by an Australian author. I'll have to think off the top of my head, like, I'm not sure. Like, nothing is ringing a bell right away. I had no idea that Leanne Moriarty is an Australian author, so I could always try to read this one. This book is massive. Wow, this is like 450 pages. But it has been on my bookshelves since 2021. So like, I probably should get around to this, right? Well, thank you, Maddie, for the prompt. I think I'm gonna choose this book for now, unless I can find something else by an Australian author that either gets highly recommended from you all, or unless I find something that is like more intriguing to me. I think I'll go with this one, so that's exciting. So thank you so much to Mallory, Georgie, and Maddie for impacting my TBR for the final time in 2023. I'm really looking forward to reading these, and look at the way that these two covers kind of like match each other. That is so cool. All right, so as for the rest of my December TBR, I think in the month of December, I'm gonna be kicking off the month with a, you know, like reading some thriller and horror books that I meant to read this year that I never got around to, because I think that would be a really fun way to kick off the month of December. So in that video, I think I have planned to read 4 books. You know, now that I'm looking at it though, maybe I can even include Out Behind the Barn in that vlog, because it's such a short horror book. I feel like maybe I'll include this. But so far that I have planned to read for that video, I'm going to be reading Vampires of El Norte, because this is a horror novel that I've been wanting to read ever since it published. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And it's pretty cool that this one has also made the top 10 on the Goodreads horror category. So like, I'm really looking forward to reading this one. In that same video, I'm probably also going to be reading Good Girls Don't Die by Christina Henry, because this is another one that I am so excited to read. It's one of my most anticipated books. I almost had this as a BookTube pick for the month of January, so I'll have to see how this one goes. I think I might also be reading The Fiction Writer. This is by Julian Cantor, and this one just sounds really intriguing to me. And in this book, we follow this literary star who was once on the rise, but her last book was a flop. It says her agent calls with a high-paying ghostwriting opportunity, and then it says like, the job seems too good to be true. All she has to do is interview Henry Asherwood, a reclusive mega billionaire twice named People's Sexiest Man Alive, who wants her to write a book about his late grandmother's surprising connection to the author of Rebecca. So like, it just sounds like it could be interesting. I don't know, ever since reading Yellowface, I'm like dying to read more thriller kind of books that are about authors. And then I think I might also read Sisters of the Lost Nation, because this one was recently nominated at the Goodreads Choice Awards in the horror category. I don't think that it ended up making the top 10, but because it made the Goodreads Choice Awards, I was like, damn, like this one's getting a lot of hype and I still haven't read it. It's just been sitting on my shelves staring at me, so I think I want to get around to this one. This one just says a young native girl's hunt for answers about the women mysteriously disappearing from her tribe's reservation leads her to delve into the myths and stories of her people, all while being hunted herself in this atmospheric and stunningly poignant debut. So like, the fact that this is a debut sounds very exciting to me. It just sounds like it's going to be a good time, so I think I'll be reading those for a reading vlog. Then I think that I would like to do a, like Christmas themed reading vlog for the month of December, because I'm usually not the kind of person who reads a lot of like Christmassy kind of books. Like, I just don't. It's not my typical thing. Like, I don't think I really care too much, but I thought this year I would try to make an effort to do that. And there are 3 books in particular that I'm hoping to read for this video. One of them is going to be A Winter in New York by Josie Silver. This one is a new release that I'm very excited about because, it takes place in New York. In this book, we're following a character who's a young chef who stumbles upon a secret family recipe that might lead her to the love and life she's been looking for. And I mean, the fact that this takes place in New York, I mean, come on. I'm also hoping to read the book Love Light Farms. This is a Christmas book. It's a Christmas romance book that I've had sitting on my TBR for literally an entire year now, because I actually got this one last December, and it's just been sitting on my bookshelves for a full year, staring at me, being like, when December rolls around, you better read this book, bitch. And so this is one that I'm hoping to read for that Christmas themed vlog. And this is a book that I don't really know too much about, to be honest, but it says, in an effort to save the Christmas tree farm she's loved since she was a kid, she enters a contest with Insta-famous influencer Evelyn St. James. With the added publicity and the $100,000 cash prize, she might just be able to save the farm from its financial woes. There's just one problem. To make the farm seem like a romantic destination for the holidays, she lied on the application and said she owns Love Light Farms with her boyfriend, only there is no boyfriend. So I think it's a fake dating situation. It sounds Christmassy. It sounds fun. I think I'm gonna read it for that vlog. And then my lovely friend Brittany is gonna be letting me borrow the book The Mistletoe Motive, which this is another Christmas romance that sounds like it'll be a good time. I also heard that I think the protagonist in this book, I think her name is Gabby. So like, that would be a cool experience. I never get to read books that have a protagonist with the same name as me. Some other books that I'm thinking of possibly reading this month, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to get to all these books this month, because December is a very heavy content month for me. I like to do a lot of like the end of the year videos in the month of December, so I have so much going on. But these are 3 newer releases that I would love to get to this month. I don't know if I actually will. I mean, Do Your Worst is the recent book from Rosie Danon, who's the same author as The Roommate. This is a romance that I've been really looking forward to. It sounds like it's going to be a really fun time. And then there's also this recent romance called The Fake Mate, and this is the same author as the author who wrote The Nanny, which is a romance that I read last year. And this one says it's about 2 wolf shifters who agree to be fake mates but unexpectedly find something real. So it's like they're both werewolves? I don't know. And then I also still have Expiration Dates by Rebecca Surley. I actually have this as an ARC copy. This one goes on sale in March next year. So I'm debating if I should read it now or if I should like wait to read this in the new year. I'm not totally sure yet, but I'm really excited for this one. This one's been getting really great reviews so far. And then lastly, in December, I do this thing every December where for the last 2 weeks of the year, I really like to reread a lot of my favorite books. Because as I mentioned, December is a heavy content month for me, because by the halfway point of the month, I like to start filming all of my end of the year videos, which are like my best books of the year, worst books of the year, most disappointing, most surprising. Like all of that happens at the end of the year in the second half of the month. People always ask me like, well, what if you read your favorite book in the second half of December? And I'm like, well, it usually never happens, because I usually spend the rest of December just rereading my favorite books, because I feel like I never have time to reread my favorite books. Like, even though rereading is something that I really love to do, but I always feel like because of my YouTube channel, because of all the content I'm trying to put out all the time, I never have time to reread books, because I'm always trying to like read new books for vlogs and stuff like that. But that's why I think the end of the year is actually the perfect time for me to reread, because I can work on all of my end of the year content and reread old favorites. And because I think there's nothing better and more like cozy than like reading books at the very end of the year around like Christmas time and all the holidays, with reading books that you're gonna love. It's kind of like a safety net, And some of the books that I'm thinking of rereading at the end of this year include books that I've read and loved this year, like Any Man, which still might be my #1 favorite book that I've read this year, and The Writing Retreat, because I still am saying that this is my favorite thriller of the year, and I just kind of want to reread these to confirm my love for them and like to further figure out where I can place them in my best books of the year. And then, I do have a few others that are potential books that I would like to reread. It really just depends on how much time I have at the end of this year to do the rereading, and I really just am gonna mood read whatever I'm in the mood for. But some other books that I might try to read is The Grown Up. This would be a reread. I read this so many years ago now, and this book is so short, but I don't really remember too much of it, so I think this would be a fun one to try and reread. I also have the book Kiss Her Once for Me, which is a book that I did read last December, and it was such an instant favorite of mine, and this one's also kind of like a Christmassy book, so this is one that I could totally see myself rereading like every single December. I've also just been dying to reread Project Hail Mary. This was actually my #1 favorite book when I read it in 2021, and I've just been dying to reread it ever since, but because of how thick it is, because like I don't know if I'm gonna get around to reading this one this month, but I would really like to. And then same goes with The Nesting by CJ Cook. I've always considered this like one of my favorite like mystery thriller books, and it's just been so long since I read it, so I think this one would be also a really fun reread. And then as well as The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This was always one of my favorite kind of like fake dating, fake relationship kind of romance books because they're both on a radio show and it takes place in Seattle, and I just have such fond memories of this book that I really want to reread it again. And so those are all of my plans for the month of December. I told you, it's a lot. Like there was so much that we covered in this video together. And thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me. I would love to know what you're planning to read for the month of December. What books are you trying to get to before the end of the year? Please let me know. And if you've read any of the books that I talked about in this video, I would love to know what your thoughts are on them. And just a reminder, please, if you do want to go on the Trova trip with me, please be sure to fill out that link in the description with the survey. The survey only takes 2 minutes to fill out and it helps me immensely because this survey is an essential part of me being able to make this trip happen. I would really appreciate your feedback, even if it's something you're just considering and you're not really sure about. I would appreciate your feedback because your opinion matters, and I really want to plan this trip together with you. I want to make it as amazing as I possibly can, and I need as much feedback as I can to make that happen. If you did fill out the survey, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, and I can't wait to potentially travel with you next year. Like, what the heck? That is all from me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.